Greetings and hello. The therapy industry in its current stage and form is a major detriment to the mental health of men. It runs by hiding the amount of privilege that women have and sweeps the real actual problems that afflict men under the rug. It focuses on gaslighting and lying to men instead of telling men the real truth behind their situations. If the truth were told, then such industries would be out of business, as there would be no more men to bait and gaslight with gynocentric lies. It also serves to tell men that the problem is within them and not a society that inherently hates them and abandons them because of their sex. Men go to therapy because they have problems in their life that they want to sort out and are at a loss for how to do it. This is because those problems lie not within the man, but society itself, as the man cannot control the misandric attitudes with which society views him. The man is enticed to go to therapy due to advice from family, friends and all other members of society who hold these same man-hating views. Men sadly fall into this trap, just like they do with marriage. In this case, it is quote fixing their mentality and personality, which is code for being gaslit into thinking that you are useful for society, so that you would eagerly go back to being a slave for women. Therapists tell men that their problems are strictly personal and that they should deal with them on their own. Therapists deliberately leave out the major important fact that society is inherently biased against men. This is part of the gaslighting that men receive on a daily basis, which is exacerbated by accredited individuals telling men these lies in order to keep them in line. Without this, the idea of therapy would fall apart, as men would understand the truth, and there would not be a need for it. It is a deliberate, malicious way of ignoring the issues of men by not even putting a band-aid on the problem, but saying that you don't have eye cancer, but are just seeing another dimension. The goal of this is to divert the issue to somewhere else. Therapy serves this purpose by deliberately deluding men and making them believe the problem is within themselves. This works because men have been conditioned by their mothers to see themselves as always being the root source of every problem in their life. Undoing this hateful and gynocentric brainwashing should be at the very front of any effort at therapy if it were pro-male. Without any pro-male truth and enlightenment, therapy is very toxic and predatory toward men, as it exploits men's deeply entrenched gynocentric conditioning and makes them worse off. Therapists also intentionally leave out the bias and privilege that women are given in society and how everything is laid out for them. Therapists will tell women not to worry too much, as their problems are not their own fault according to them, but at the same time, lie to men by saying that something is wrong with them. This is another facet that enables gynocentrism by taking any blame off women and transferring it to the man. The just world fallacy will be brought up when inquisitive men try to question why their female counterparts live much better than them. The lie that women have the ability to be in touch with themselves, but men do not, is heavily utilized here. Therapists also encourage men to make their problems worse instead of addressing the root cause. They do this by completely ignoring why men are in the situation they are in the first place. Because of female social dominance and privilege. Women do not select men who refuse to give them privileges and treat them as complete equals, but for men who shower them with privilege and pander to them. This elevates females over males, so it is natural that the anti-male therapy industry would be pushing anything and everything to cover up this fact, including telling men that they are inherently bad because they cannot access the so-called feminine part of themselves. This talk of a feminine part is a lie, as only women can use female privilege, and feminine men are hated because they are no use to women. Women are the drivers and choosers, so they pick the man that will pander to them and leave out men who do not. Men observe this, and it creates a double think of instinctively knowing that women go for such men who are attack dogs, but also being lied and gaslit by therapists. This makes the man spiral even more into confusion, which has fateful consequences. This is the goal of the therapy industry, not to help and heal men, but to keep them deluded and upholding the narrative that females are better than males, and thus expanding female privilege. Women can be more in touch with themselves because they are allowed to do so by society and have the time to. Men are forced to be workhorse providers for women and to put on a mask to make them more bearable to the woman. Women do not like men and never did, and only use them for their provision and resources. Therapists know this, but do not want to mention it because they contribute to gynocentrism by pandering to women themselves. They will even go demonize men because of behavior demanded by the opposite sex, which keeps in a cycle to uphold the so-called virtue of women who are given everything, while men have to painstakingly suffer the consequences. If therapists started telling men the truth that women go for men who are of use to them, which has nothing to do with quote-unquote personality, then men would quickly start to connect the dots. They would then realize that women are not the savior from their problems, but are the cause of them. Due to pandering and elevating them, men are expected to usurp more and more rights, as women keep deselecting more and more men, and men have a harder time gaining status to bribe a woman with. Therapists keep men on the status treadmill, with the goal being to finally find a so-called purpose by pandering to a woman instead of being happy themselves. The idea is to have the target falsely think that he is getting closer to his goal, while in actuality he is in an even worse position than before, as he is being lied to with false information, and his self-loathing is made even worse. Therapists keep perpetuating male self-loathing as it suits women's privileges, with how they shame male outlets like video games and porn. Women expect that men physically pandering to them is the only acceptable way for a partner to act, so they discard men with any self-respect and choose those who have none. Therapists are doing what women and feminists want them to by smearing male copes and maliciously pulling on their self-loathing. Actual therapy that helps men is based on a universal recognition of the truth and the dynamics between men and women. Men are only held in use by society because they pander to women, so men need to find their own purpose that makes them happy. It would also tell men that they are fully human and that they have meaning just because they are, and their worth is not based on how much of themselves they sacrifice to a woman. It will also undo gynocentric brainwashing of duty and service, and men seeing themselves as the inferior caste. This would truly help men to view themselves as people and not tools. As a result, men would come together and demand their rights, thereby taking away the privileges that women have, which is why society does not want this, and keeps promoting the malicious feminist gaslighting through therapy in its current form.